All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Gonna be getting into my first bets here for week 8 of the NFL season. Let's go ahead and get into it. Now, just a quick recap from last week's bets. So overall, guys, the bets that I gave out went 28 for 43. So we were able to hit 65% of the bets on the week, which is pretty nice. In this specific video, going 3 for 5. We know Javonte got us over like twice at least, in which pass plays they were called back. So that was kind of annoying there, but definitely a pretty solid week. I kind of mentioned that as I was recording the video. I don't want to say I got cold feet on James Conner, but I think if you guys were watching that, you could kind of sense that out of the ones that I gave out was the one I liked the least. Don't get me wrong, I still liked it. I'm not like talking that pick down. Obviously, it missed. Ben Sims getting that one reception kind of as expected. Joe Mixon really crushing that over rush yards. That felt pretty easy with him and Justin Herbert. And I feel like we have a few pretty darn good rushing props again this week. Let's start out with those. And so again, I will be using the PrizePicks board to display these prop bets, but these are bets that the purpose of them is for us to be able to get an edge on these bets by being early on them, kind of knowing that they're going to get bumped one way or the other. Like that James Conner prop, his rush yard actually did get bumped down to 60.5. So that was an edge that we gained. It just didn't end up hitting. Justin Herbert was raised by 10. Joe Mixon was raised by, I think it was 8. Like all those were good bets. Javonte obviously got raised by like 6. So like all those were good edges. That's the purpose of this. And so if you guys are watching this, you can use these bets really on anything. The sports books, any traditional one, any DFS one, you guys can use it how you please. And so let's go ahead and start out with Javonte Williams going against the Carolina Panthers. I'm a little bit surprised by this line that we're getting. 54.5 does seem to be pretty low. We can see he's been able to get this over in 3 out of his past 4 games. And I want to call it the snaps that he got last week, guys. 63% of the snaps last week, which has basically been on par during that span in which he's kind of been able to consistently get this over as well. Part of this is going to be the matchup as well. Going against the Carolina Panthers defense that actually ranks the worst in the league in terms of rushing yards given up to opposing running backs. He should be able to really, if he gets that same workload that we're depending on, around 60 to 65% of the works, he should be able to get this over. And for what it's worth, I would say that Denver offense has been looking better, whereas that Carolina offense, you know, kind of that juice that was injected into that Carolina offense with Bryce Young getting benched in replacement of Andy Dalton, or for Andy Dalton to start, that juice has all been kind of soaked away. They are just not looking that good as an offense. And with the Denver defense looking so good, I just think that the chances of Javonte Williams getting a healthy workload will be there. Never feels too good to trust the Broncos just yet, but this should be a good spot for them. Another one that I like is going to be a running back in a similar situation. That's going to be DeAndre Swift to get his over rush yards, which is going to be 59.5. He gets a matchup that's going to be about a middle-of-the-road matchup, but the one thing I want to call out is he has looked extremely good on film, and I think the Bears noticed that, and we have seen them work him in terms of carries. They've really made a point of emphasis of getting him the football as well. And so we look at the snaps, like those have been, you know, around 60 to almost 70% now as well. Gets a matchup against the Washington Commanders, which if the Washington Commanders are going to be without their quarterback Daniels in this game, I think that only sets up the run a little bit more for the Chicago Bears, meaning that it's going to be more likely that they may be playing with the lead. And I will say Marcus Mariota didn't look bad. Not going to say he looked good or anything like that. Serviceable. That being said, I do think it's likely that the Bears, if he sits, will be playing with the lead in this game, thus increasing the likelihood for him to get those rush attempts, thus increasing the likelihood for him to be able to get this over. So those are 2 pretty good bets for guys that are going to be playing around the same snaps. And I got one more that's going to fit that mold as well. That's going to be Kenneth Walker going against the Buffalo Bills, which is also going to be one of the better matchups on the week. Now, we did see last week that the Tennessee Titans were able to rush the football a bunch with Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard did have himself a pretty darn good game. The issue is that in the second half, the Buffalo Bills really got things going. Thus, Tony Pollard was really not used that much via the ground game, and he still looked good. And so now you inject Kenneth Walker into that same scenario with a better offense, which with a team that should be able to keep the game close enough for long enough. And I do want to make that clear. Seattle, they've been playing some weird games and so have the Bills, where both teams kind of start out slow especially the Seahawks, where they'll start to pick things up in the second half. That's my slight concern here with the Seattle Seahawks, but Kenneth Walker is a stud. We know that. And now the concern that we would kind of slightly have is the fact that he only saw about 50% of the snaps last week, but he does get this great matchup going against the Buffalo Bills. And even when we look at that matchup last week against the Atlanta Falcons, he was still able to get there playing 50% of the snaps. Now you get it in a game where they should hopefully, be playing better, I would assume. DK Metcalf is going to be out as well. And so we just need the game to seemingly stay close enough for long enough, I would say, in order for him to get closer to that 60%, 65% of the snaps that we've seen him get. But all in all, this is looking like a pretty darn solid bet against one of the worst rush defenses in the league as well. And then looking at Deontay Johnson to get his under receiving yards of 57.5. This is one that I guess does slightly scare me a little bit. At the same time, the Denver defense has really just been pretty darn great. And then you look at Andy Dalton, who's really been struggling lately. I do see Carolina probably struggling in this game as well. Sure, Deontay Johnson can catch one random long ball, which really makes the day for him. But I do think that this will correlate decently well with Javonte Williams getting his over 54.5 rush yards as well. So that only makes me want to place this bet a little bit more if I'm already placing the Javonte Williams prop bet as well. Now, don't get me wrong. I do think there's a good chance that he's right around what he needs to get to. I just don't see him getting the over if that Denver defense plays the way it has played. They average about 50 receiving yards given up to opposing receivers when adjusting for Deontay Johnson's role. And again, this is just more a bet on Carolina still not showing up. And we go ahead and get into Aaron Rodgers to get over his passing yards as well. I'm a little bit surprised by this one. Just the fact that's available for us. We've seen him really be able to get this over in almost every single game thus far, including the game against the New England Patriots, who really have looked defeatable defensively. Like, you can defeat them. And now you give him Davante Adams as well, one more week to be more acclimated with Adams as well. It's not like Rodgers is playing poorly. I know people like to poke fun on him on the comment section of social media and whatnot, but it's not like he's playing poorly. I would argue that the single reason why they lost was Garrett Wilson's terrible drop. That was the changing point of the game. They have the whole momentum. If he simply makes that catch, I think maybe the game kind of is the exact opposite, where the Jets end up winning with a pretty big lead. But that's kind of just been the Jets season. Let's not have that, though, distract from the fact that Rodgers is playing pretty darn good. And now you give him one more week to be reacclimated to Davante Adams. You still have Garrett Wilson there. You still have Breece Hall playing extremely well. And Allen Lazard chemistry is still there going against this New England defense that you should be able to beat up. The one concern would be that the Jets do beat them up. And maybe this game's a blowout. Maybe it doesn't get going as much as fast. I still love this one. This seems to be a head scratcher. Again, like, I could see if he's playing poorly and not looking like elite. He has looked elite. And maybe it's just watching these other quarterbacks play. Like, it's crazy to me that like someone like Matthew Stafford is at 237.5 against a probably just as tough defense in Minnesota, or for that matter, Gardner Minshew at 211.5, so not that far off. Like, that's just kind of a head scratcher to me. And then two other passing yard props that I like as well as it sits right now will be Jordan Love to get over 252.5 passing yards going against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Just more of a matchup thing. We do know that sometimes Jordan Love just doesn't have to throw the football that much, or he's just too efficient, or the offense is too efficient to the point where he isn't having to throw the football that much. But we know the Jaguars defense has struggled to stop the pass, and I think that's going to continue again. They just let Drake May, for an example, be able to throw for 276 in his second NFL start. Now, Drake May looked good. I think Jordan Love will look good against this defense as well. One last one here would be Sam Darnold to get over 238.5 passing yards, but I also think a better one would be for him to get his over passing TDs of 1.5, given this matchup with LA, which has been a team that you can beat via the passing game. Now, if we look at the odds just in general for this bet, we will notice that they all are kind of favoring the over a decent amount. Like, this one is currently sitting about 52% likely to hit. So if you are someone that's making these bets maybe on PrizePicks, I could actually see this one getting up to a goblin prop by lineup lock. So if you do like this one, by all means, go for it. And then because this is a Thursday game, we are getting props for this game. And so if we sort by like the projected edge for his passing yards, we're going to see that the best bet is actually going to be on ESPN bet. So he's projected to get 245.5 passing yards, which is not a lot, but if you look at the ESPN bet line, this is extremely low. This is one where I expect it to get corrected, but that should not be happening. To me, that's a big edge. And another one as well, FanDuel is definitely undervaluing him right now as well. So if you guys are someone that bets on those two sites, by all means, fire that off there for Sam Darnold. Now, guys, that's going to be all for this video. Do want to call it the 9to5 membership is available on 9to5sports.com for just $10 a month. Get access to all the tools that you have seen in this video, plus much more. And when you use the promo code Keep Cashing, get it for $10. Or sorry, the original membership is $10 a month. You'll get the first month for $8 a month when you use the promo code Keep Cashing. And so, just to summarize, kind of the bets that I'll be on, Javonte Williams over his rush yards of 54.5, DeAndre Swift over 59.5 rush yards, Kenneth Walker over 64.5, and then I do want to call it as well, Deontay Johnson for his less than receiving yards. That should correlate pretty well with Javonte Williams getting his over rush yards. Just matchup wise, Javonte Williams gets an elite matchup. Looking at the opposite side of it, Deontay Johnson does not get an elite matchup, gets one of the toughest matchups for opposing receivers. So that should correlate pretty well, like the fact that they're going against each other. Again, Sam Darnold to get over 1.5 passing touchdowns. This could even be a better bet if he gets back TJ Hawkinson as well, who is a red zone threat, which would only help him out in the red zone as well. Because right now it's really just a lot of deep balls. He's not really getting those red zone touchdowns, and that would be huge, I think, for the Minnesota offense. Aaron Rodgers, this feels like it's Taco Tuesday as I'm recording this on PrizePicks. If you guys don't know what Taco Tuesday is, it's where they extremely discount prop bets. And I'll show you right now. So like the goalie saves here, the original line is getting discounted to another line. That's how I kind of feel about the Rodgers one. Like it seems like it should be 10 yards higher, and I kind of expect that to be the case. Then Jordan Love, I don't really see this one adjusting all that much this week. Like this is probably the one where I don't know if we're gaining edge throughout the week, but I do still see this being one that might be tight, but I still think it'll cash. So I like this one as well. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure to leave a thumbs up on the video. Get this video to 100 likes, guys. That does really help it out. If you guys have any prop bet that you guys really like, let us know in the comment section below. The best part about prop betting is that we're all going to benefit together when we all have good advice and good picks. Thank you guys for watching. Hey, if you guys want to share this to someone, that also helps as well. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck. And as always, guys, let's keep cashing.